Are we live, or has the solar flare and the G4 storm gotten us? I can't tell.
Yeah, I think the storm's got us.
Well, it's kind of weird because, good morning, everybody. My wife was telling me, see, T.O. is in an undisclosed secure location this morning because the man is potentially looking for T.O. Always the man is looking for
He's
T.O.
literally sitting right next to me, waiting for me to stop the call. Look at this. He's right over there with his stinger on the back of the truck, ready to haul me away.
I mean, you paid the car bill, right? I mean, you bought that with cash, didn't you?
Cash money.
Yeah, I
Cash
thought so.
money. Still a little wet.
I was just curious if we're going to see you get repoed, live. That would be kind of fun.
Well, he's got that little 3500 HD Duramax Chevy over there. That ain't going to haul this, 450 Ford anywhere.
That's true. You've got a big truck now. Do you guys still have the Expedition, or did you finally get rid of it?
I sold that. You know me, man. I can sell anything.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Well, we got some interesting stuff to talk about today. At least I think so. I'm not sure that I know a whole lot about. Right, LC, having cash is suspect. Sus.
Yes, right, immediately if you have cash, they think that you're a drug dealer and take it from you.
Right, or if you have 2 cell phones.
CAF.
All right, I hate that font. I've just decided that. Let's go back to that.
You're so touchy this morning.
When you put up
the aesthetic with you.
When you put up the comments.
See, that's in the near field. I can't even see that. I'm good.
Well, I'm including TO because things are, things are not perfect this morning, so it must be we. If it was all perfect, it'd be I got this fixed this morning.
Right. Your kid screwed up. And,
right.
It's our kid, dear.
What is that about? Success has 100 fathers and failure is an orphan, or something like that.
Oh, I like that. I haven't heard that. I've probably heard something like it.
I may have said it backwards. I'm not entirely sure. I've never said it. So a lot of things going on today. I want to hit a couple things. Elodie, good morning. The antennas will be out of stock for an indeterminate amount of time because of a story. And I'm not going to get into the story.
It was already done last week.
Nobody's mad at anybody. We all love each other. Long time. Boom, boom. Number one. That's as far as that goes. We're probably going to exit the antenna business. We are reevaluating that whole thing. And it gets to be, and I don't know if anybody's going to be mad at me for saying that. I don't care. I can say what I want. I'm part of the company. I don't have an NDA. As you guys know, TO is no longer part of CAR. This show is not CAR, by the way.
This is Ham Church.
And don't forget to pass the plate. We're just reevaluating the whole thing because, guys, it gets to be logistically, it is complicated because we are not co-located. We're 3 separate states at opposite ends of the country. And
used to be 4 states.
Used to be 4 states. And
to put it in perspective, the easiest way to put this is we spent a couple $1,000s to go to Hamvention and we sold 23 antennas.
Yeah.
So that should just make it easy math.
Yeah. So
it's just a funeral. No, it's a wake, Eamon.
Yeah. Well, we are at church, so I need you to pray for the soul of Coffee and Ham Radios. Now, at this time, firemen and cops' favorite phrase, at this time.
I love it. Yeah.
Coffee and Ham Radios is still going forward. We're doing 1 show a week on Thursday night. We did 86, the Saturday show, because rotating 3 shows between, or 2 shows a week between 3 people is a lot of extracurricular
what was that, 48
setup.
shows a year is what we used to do?
45 to 48, I think there's...
Well, no, there's 52 weeks. We did 2 shows a week. So that's 100 and... Yeah, don't math on stream, folks. It's 104 shows a year.
Yeah, but not exactly, because I know we didn't do shows on Hamfest weeks, generally.
On the Thursday
the Thursday night show, so that's -3 there. Because we've been doing, as far as I remember, we've been doing the Saturday show.
Around 100 shows a year.
Yeah.
You guys are getting the backstage all access pass right now, but
right.
There is a certain thing to be said for providing information in the spirit of ham radio, but there's also like spending time with your family.
Yeah.
You know, and 100 shows, and the show is an hour to an hour and a half long, depending on what day it is, and that means that it's actually 4 or 5 hours per show worth of production and planning and figuring stuff out and discussing things behind the scenes and so on.
And depending on what the show is about, T.O. is underselling this part. There's some prep work before, we get started. So I need to sit up straight.
Yeah,
my head
and nobody is complaining here. This is just sharing. Like,
it is what it is.
I'm not saying, oh my God, this is such a pain in the butt to do. I hate all of you folks. No, I love it. I love doing it. I love sharing the information. I love being a part of the community. I love teaching and educating, and evangelizing was the word I used the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I want to get more people interested in ham radio. This hobby, I personally feel like this hobby is dying. And a lot of that has to do with cranky old farts complaining all the time, which, mea culpa, I can be one of those.
Me too.
It kind of comes with the age, and we need to
you
stop
kids
that.
in your antenna building.
Yeah, like you use the wrong core on a auto transformer. No, it's a hobby of experimentation. I used a different core, and it worked, and I proved that it worked.
John.
How do you make it? How do you make it? How do you say that doesn't work during a video demonstrating that it does work? So
Right.
like that's part of the old man problem. And I'm not saying any of you guys are old man, have OM syndrome. I just coined that. But
Right. I mean, Tim is fairly old. He's out there, but he generally
True.
is not an OM.
And we get a vocal minority of people that complain, but we get a large majority of people that are like excited and happy, and like I passed my test because of all of the help that you guys have provided. I love the community you're creating. That's the stuff that gets me out of bed and gets my juices flowing, is like trying something new, making it work, that kind of thing. I got a 25-foot whip in the mail. There's going to be a giveaway of that in the future, and I'm like, I like it, but I don't know what to do with it. I mean, the obvious thing is put a 4-to-1 at the bottom and make a Rybakoff out of it. But, 25 foot in meters is 7.62 meters. And that's a quarter wave on, what was it, 30 megahertz? I forget what the math was. But yeah, it's a quarter wave on like only one band or something. It's close to a quarter wave if you shrink it down a little bit on one band. Again, it's too early in the morning for math. But like, I'm excited. I want to play with this. I want to see what you can do with it. I want to see how many bands we can get out of it. Like we all know how a 17-foot whip works, or some of us do. But it's fun to play with these things. Oh, 25-foot whip, you'll never need that for ham radio. Miss me with that nonsense. Let's get it on the air and let's make it work.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much. There's the thing that always gets me, since we're ranting about people who rant.
It is ham church. This is what this show's about.
Right.
Y'all knew what you were getting into.
Right. Well, it's.
Thank you, John. 30 megahertz.
Goes to what Steve said. It goes to what Steve said. Somebody doesn't like the toroid we used, or somebody says, well, that's a terrible way to do that. Okay, then don't do it. Move on. Do your own YouTube channel and show us all the right way. Whatever.
Prove me wrong.
There's so many things you can do. Not all of them are optimal. Not all of them work out. Some of them are happy accidents and work out better than you imagined. I mean, I kind of feel that the DX Commander was a happy accident at some time. And Callum, let's see, a vertical fan dipole? That'll never work. Ask Callum how well it's worked.
Unspecified counterpoise? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't specified, unspecified, not a tuned counterpoise is what I mean.
Right, not a tuned counterpoise. And,
And Callum's the first person to say, and I love this about Callum. Callum's awesome. I didn't invent this; I discovered it. And there's a key distinction there. It already existed. This antenna would have always worked. That's one of the really interesting things about radio that I really appreciated. It has always been radio. Humans have discovered how to use it to their advantage, which is really cool about humans. But we didn't invent radio. We didn't create that thing. That thing was always there. Like what is it?
The sun's been spewing radio for a couple million years, couple bazillion years.
Michelangelo says, you just remove all the mess out of the way, and the statue was inside the big piece of marble, whatever.
Right.
It was always there. I just discovered it. So yeah, that kind of thing. And I'm sure the first time anybody ever made a fan dipole or a trap dipole or doublet or whatever. Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, that's inefficient. Oh, that's this problem. Oh, that's that problem. Well, you know what? 100 years later, people love the doublet. And my favorite thing is the people who really, really dig on resonant antennas. I love resonant antennas. I only use resonant antennas. The doublet's the best antenna ever, but I only use resonant antennas. What?
Wait, what?
And I do. I know people who actually have said that multiple times in public in front of people. Okay.
Well,
and I agree. I love the doublet. It's an awesome antenna.
I've said this before, and I think you have, and I'm sure Ape and Chuck have too, if I can say their names and they won't pop up. But, you know, now I forgot what I was going to say. I had all that beautiful preface in there. Oh, there it is. Whew. There's a lot of stuff in here.
Don't lose it.
There's no new antennas.
No.
Really.
None.
I mean, they're not. You can, and I'm not picking on any one vendor here, but I'm going to mention some names. Chameleon. Ain't nothing new. It's wire antennas. It's not new. It's not special. They may use sexy wire, and it may come in a fabulous green tote bag or something, and there may be some various configurations, but it's not a new antenna. DX Commander. It's a fan dipole is what it is. And it's a vertical antenna. Again, not new, not invented anytime recently. Antennas are antennas. The Poseidon and the Kronos, while they work better than any of us imagined, it's a Rybakov design. Okay. I mean, it's not new. It's not new.
And that wasn't even the guy's name, if I remember correctly. I think
no, Rybakov is the Russian word for fisherman. His name was unpronounceable.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name, and I apologize to him if he's still alive and perchance watching this show, which I doubt. But
both of those things.
right. If there's a union of those two sets, sorry, brother. But
the Venn diagram. Yeah. Somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, there's nothing new. A dipole is dudes and lady. Y'all got a dipole when you bought your stereo receiver back at Radio Shack or Kmart back in the 70s.
It was fed with twin lead.
That twin lead plastic dingus for the FM antenna. That's a dipole. And they've been around longer than that. And I don't know how long stereo receiver companies have been throwing in a dipole in the back of their receivers. But I mean, I was a very young teenager probably when I saw my first one, and that's been a minute and a half. So
we'll just clip that part out of the show. I was a very young teenager when I saw my first one. Now we both said it. You got us both.
Wow, there with the show. All completely derailed right now because I wasn't even thinking that way. Anyway, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's not new, and it all works to some extent or not. And we've all said it 100 times. Every antenna is a compromise to one extent or the other. Is the Poseidon as good as a dipole at half-meter wavelength on a mast for 20 meters? Well, if you can get a dipole up that far, it's awesome. But I ain't going to. And my Kronos or my Poseidon work well enough that I make contacts on 20 meters at less than 100 watts on FT8, for example, worldwide. So, yeah, it's a compromise, but it works. I'm making contacts. And honestly, a little tiny dig at the primate. Love you, brother, if you're watching this. He hates carbon fiber. He thinks it's the devil. Well, it works. I ran a whisper transmitter for 2 days. I did a video on it. Same contacts. 2 days of whisper with a Poseidon hanging on a carbon fiber mast, and 2 days of whisper with a Poseidon hanging on a fiberglass mast, and it was indistinguishable. So, like, it all works. Yeah, maybe it modified this or that.
Yeah.
But
I did a 9-to-1 on a different core, and I made a contact from Oklahoma to St. Helena. Like, I don't remember off the top of my head, 11,000 kilometers or something. And somebody says, that doesn't work. Okay. I don't know what doesn't work about it.
Right.
I gotta put my glasses on so I can see that.
You should keep your glasses on.
I look better with my glasses on.
Well, you look studious and whatnot.
Studious.
And Bryant, the old rabbit ears that came with the black and white TV, yes, sir. Had those too. Yep. Performed all sorts of contortions while my mother said, no, more that way. No, back the other way. Yeah, I mean, right, Mike Dixon? Physics is physics. It doesn't really matter. But
Yeah, and I keep losing this thought. Oh, the cool thing about like the kits that Coffee and Ham Radio sells, or the DX Commander or something like that, and I ran into this, the load tester, the electric load device that we got, I need one MOSFET to fix that. I don't need a 100-pack. I don't need a 10-pack. I don't need a 5-pack.
right.
I had to order a 5-pack. What am I going to do with the extra 4 of these things? Now I got a junk parts bin that's got, random capacitors, random resistors. I mean, yes,
Yep.
I can build a radio out of it. Don't get me wrong. But there's something to be said for getting a kit that has exactly precisely what you need and not much more in it.
Tim, that's exactly right. And there's no way you weren't
Yes.
either. We all were.
Exactly. We all were. We've all been the remote.
We've all been the remote.
Q.
Yeah. And, getting back to ham radio and the OM syndrome on this stuff, I just don't understand the mentality of anybody who is like that. I just don't get it, because it's like, if you don't like digital voice, then don't do digital voice. No one's show us where the digital voice touched your bad part,
Yeah.
or FT8, or because you get a lot of people. I don't do digital
That's
modes. I
not
only
real
do
radio.
phone and CW, because that's not really radio. Okay,
And that's actually what's killing ham radio, is the fact that you, not you, but you,
them
are not
people, not
advancing
you
in the
people, them
hobby.
people. That's right.
People. Like if you shrug your shoulders as a grumpy, cranky old fart at FT8 or DMR over a hotspot, well, that's the reason why the hobby's dying. Because the hobby's trying its best to advance, and you're trying your best to, again, not you, but you, to keep it back. And it will never go away. I would love to get an old boat anchor and fix it up and find the tubes and test out the tubes and redo the wiring and clean it up and get it on the air. I would absolutely love to do it. It's on my bucket list of things to do. I don't know enough yet to do that, and I'm not afraid to admit it. But I also don't know everything else either, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I get on the air, have some fun, do something. That's what's going to keep this hobby alive. I lost audio somehow. Whose audio is gone? Is it mine or Jim's? That's muting. It's Jim.
I muted when I coughed earlier, and I did not unmute.
I can't see the little mute symbol next to Jim because I'm on my phone.
Yeah. Well, hell, now I don't know what I said and didn't say that I was muted on. Never mind.
See how important that was?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just, I think part of the thing is that we, as people who do YouTube videos on a regular basis, I'm not an expert in any of this. I'm not an RF engineer. I'm not an electronics engineer. That's not my training. I can generally put out a fire without hurting anybody or myself. Bonus. And I know my way around a computer better than average, and that's kind of my jam. But the ins and outs of toroids and stuff like that, that's a prime example. Ape loves playing with toroids. So does Chuck. Ape loves a nano VNA. Chuck is an enlightened individual such as myself, and we realize that the true light and love of the Lord is the rig expert and not the nano VNA. But see, Ape and Chuck actually get along and like each other, and I like both of them too. They don't stink bad for older men or anything. And
I'm too poor to afford a rig expert.
Neither one of them had any weird, annoying personal habits when we were in Dayton, staying in the same house. So.
Because we were all in separate rooms. Well, they were all in separate rooms.
They were all in separate rooms. That's right. I can't do the heart thing with my fingers. Don't do that. I don't know. It looks like a turd or a rock or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, James Cook. That's
exactly.
It's experimentation. And interestingly enough, James, and normally I don't pick on y'all's spelling and typo errors in the chat, but it's kind of funny that an armature is part of a radio, which is part of amateur radio. So I see what you did there, James. That was very clever. Oh yeah, and see, and Gendron was with us, and Joe Brett, and
I don't know which one of you two was snoring though. I know it wasn't Jim.
Well, no, Mrs. Gendron I was talking to John on the phone before we went up there, and she was in the background opining about bless whoever's heart has to sleep in the same room as John, because John is his middle name's
Yeah.
McCulloch.
Yeah. So remember, I don't know if you know this, but there's like 2 different ways to say bless your heart. There's like the Alabama way, and there's the Tennessee way, and the Alabama way is bless his heart. He's just so precious. He's
Well, no, it's
so
contextual.
stupid.
Yeah, it's very contextual.
And then there's the other one, like Miss Brenda, bless her heart, bless her heart for putting up with John.
Yeah.
You know, like one of them is compassion and one of them is pejorative.
Right. Right. So, you know, when you're doing the YouTube thing, I'm just kind of sharing the stuff I like to play with. It's stuff I would be tinkering with anyway. So I make videos about it. And I think that's why a lot of why anybody does YouTube videos on a regular basis. And some guys don't do a lot of videos, but they're on YouTube. Tom, WA2IVD, Tom doesn't drop a video every week. Tom's like one video a month or so at most, and he's got a specific thing he's focused on sharing. Now, Tom is way smarter than I am, for sure. You know, and that's what he does a video on. It's something he's tinkering with, and he shares it and moves on. I do more videos, but I'm also playing with a lot of different things, and I'm not an expert at any of them, mostly. So, I don't know. There's just so much to play with and not enough time. But anyway, so several people came in after we were talking about it, and I want to make sure that everyone understands. Coffee and Ham Radios is not going away. Coffee and Ham Radios is only going to do one show on Thursday nights. We have dropped the Saturday morning show because getting Ape and Chuck up and conscious without the use of Miller Lite is very difficult. T.O. has left Coffee and Ham Radios. He's not part of CAR anymore, and it's a friendly thing. T.O.'s just moving on to something else. That's all. We have full confidence in him. And there is a hard pause on selling antennas and chokes. That may resume, that may not. Don't know yet at this time. But there will still be Coffee and Ham Radios once a week on Thursday night at 7 p.m.
Look at LC trying to make peace. Why can't we all just get along?
Right. We all get along. Everything's fine. Anyway,
I'm not a special guest today. This is Ham Church.
This is not
Gray
Coffee
Man,
and Ham
I am a free
Radios.
agent. I am always a free agent.
Right. So
I'm a co-host of this show. Probably the better part of this show. See that while Jim's drinking, maybe he'll do a spit take. John was going to do. We still have inventory.
Yeah, we still have inventory, but we're trying to assess a lot of things. I don't want to get into all the ins and outs. There is still inventory. We haven't decided what to do with it yet or how we're going to dispose of it if we shut down all of that. But at this time, there's a hard pause. Amen.
All right, Tim. I gotcha.
Move on. Quit asking me questions about it.
I feel free.
Right. No, we did not say free, Ghost Man. Calm down.
No, they're me. They wanted to know if I was a free agent. Yes, I'm a free agent. I'm always a free agent.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll work for food. We'll dance for $1.
We'll bypass Windows 11 TPM installs for food. That's right. So in the news, if you haven't heard, we are, and I don't know if it's officially hit yet or not. We are in the middle of a severe
8 minutes.
geomagnetic storm alert, a G4 level. So we had one of these in the last couple years. If you watch Space Weather Woman, Dr. Tamitha Skov, she refers to that as the Gannon storm, and
That's right,
the world is still here. So,
well, the one we just had one in Spain like a month ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it aimed that way, kind of thing?
No, I mean it hit Spain, and their power grid went down, and it caused mass panic. Like more panic than it should have caused. Like you and I have been through plenty of hurricanes. Like this is just Tuesday for us. Hurricanes coming, great, you know.
Yeah.
And then power goes out for a week, great, no big deal. We got this. But in Spain, they were lined up at ATMs trying to get their money out. They couldn't figure out. They were backed up at the gas stations. They were panicking on ham radio airwaves.
And that was
Crazy.
from the storm?
Not this storm, but from a storm. They had a like a solar flare or something that they just happened to, the disc happened to spin just the right way and everything got it. Andy, if I can see it through the smoke, yeah.
Right. So this is their scale, and I don't know how well y'all can read that because it's
me not at all.
Yeah, anybody on your phone, good luck. LED,
Carrington
yes,
event.
Potentially a Carrington event.
Well, see, this is the thing. In today's world, a Carrington event would be an ELE, an extinction level event, because of how we've lost the ability to human.
Right. So we're at a G4 is what they're saying. Yesterday, the word was G3 to G4. This morning, NOAA is saying it's G4.
Yeah.
So possible widespread electrical problems with power systems, spacecraft operations.
Hey, John.
Don't use the transporter during a G4 storm. Just FYI.
Well, I feel like O'Brien would know better.
Right. Scotty certainly would. And
Both of
induced pipeline currents, preventative measures. The one we're all interested in, HF radio propagation, will be sporadic. Degraded satellite nav, low frequency radio navigation, which I guess is LORAN, if people still use that.
them. Boaters, don't they?
That would be the ones that I would think use it, yes.
Because pilots don't use that anymore.
It's in a lot of aircraft. They also have NDBs, which is really old technology, and then the VORs, and all that stuff's on VHF frequencies. So, I don't know. And aurora. This is the one. Auroras have been seen as low as Alabama and Northern California.
Wow, that is pretty low.
Right, typically 45 degrees geomagnetic latitude. So
because I saw them in Wisconsin.
I'm
a
at
couple
32
of times.
here. What, Tio?
In Wisconsin, I saw a couple of auroras in Wisconsin. It was pretty cool.
I have never seen one. It has to be pretty remarkable to get down to my level, and I think during the Gannon event, the Gannon storm last year before last, whenever that was, that it was down here in northern Alabama. It never made it down to Montgomery area. So I'm at 32 degrees latitude. Okay, not a Carrington event. And see, that's interesting because I gotta refresh my memory what that means exactly. But
that's the one that happened in Canada where they blacked out, and lost everything for a period of time. Needed to rebuild some infrastructure.
So that must be the Gannon storm that John's talking about. They had auroras in South Carolina. Now he's further north than I am, but that'll be impressive. Snow and an aurora in the same year, right? End of days.
Well, the rapture's already happened and we're all still here. Deal with it.
Right. When I started reading about this a little bit yesterday, and we may talk about Meshtastic, we may not. This is kind of interesting to me as well. And this show, if you haven't figured it out, is kind of Tio and
all over the place.
Yeah, all over
Ranting.
the place and off the cuff. When I started reading about this, there was an episode of, I think, Twilight Zone.
The Twilight Zone.
Obviously, years and years ago, the original one. And I don't remember the entire episode, but there was some kid that was on TV, and he was apparently able to predict the future. And so he was on a TV show that was like worldwide coverage kind of thing, you know, like the Pope speaking or something. And he's talking about, you know, Mrs. McNulty, your cat will come home. I can see that he'll be at your door tonight at 6:15 p.m., whatever. So the kid's making predictions and everything, and they're about to end the show, and the announcer or somebody says, well, little Timmy, have you got one last prediction before we have to go? And little Timmy looks a little reticent.
He doesn't want to share.
Little withdrawn, but he says, yeah, I have one more, and it's a big one. Tomorrow, there will be no more wars, and everyone will be at peace with each other, and sunshine and puppies, and we all love each other, and the world will be a beautiful place.
Because we're all dead.
And the show, you stole my thunder. And the show ends, and in typical Twilight Zone fashion, the show's over, and little Timmy's mom or the announcer or somebody's asking little Timmy off camera, Timmy, that's awesome. What is going to happen? And the show ends with like little Timmy saying, what does supernova mean? And so I thought of that. No more wars, no more peace, sunshine, and puppies. Lots of sunshine. Lots of sunshine. Anyway. Right, Elodie, that is kind of the jam, you know?
Yep, exactly. There was this cool book that I read a while ago, and it was a science fiction book, of course, because what else is there to read besides science fiction and historical fiction? This planet had, I don't know, 4 suns. I don't know what the exact number was, but every, I want to say 150 years or something, like just enough to make some technology, but not enough to know what was going on. And all the planets aligned in the solar system so that there was like an hour and a half of darkness for the first time ever in everybody's life that still lived. And the way that this event played out in their history and their fossil record was there's all of this evidence of previous civilizations that have like grown up, developed a certain level of technology and wiped out, grown up, developed a certain level of technology and wiped out over and over and over again. And then it finally happened during the course of the story where all the planets aligned and the world went dark. And they were literally like, I've never seen darkness before. They're like lighting buildings on fire to light up so they could see, because they had never experienced darkness in 3 or 4 generations. Like, Granddad, what is this? And Granddad doesn't remember. Everybody was dead.
Winter is coming.
Yeah.
So
it was pretty cool. And that's kind of what happened in Spain. Like, we've gotten to the point where people don't know in Spain what it was like to not have electricity.
Well,
Nightfall from Asimov. Got it.
And I agree. I've always thought we're only a couple, 3 days from complete societal breakdown. And honestly, where this comes is loss of power, because that can get kind of close, right? There's only 2 or 3 days of food that doesn't require hunting, right?
Right.
Or acquisition of food in other methods. I mean, when you can't go to the Publix to get your food, things are going to get sideways. And without electricity, Publix ain't going to be open too long, you know, kind of thing.
Well, you used to say 3 days, but now it's only a couple of hours because the truck itself full of supplies is 3 days away. But technically that truck ain't coming. If the event happens right now, what's on the shelves in the store right now is it. The truck isn't coming anymore.
Right.
We don't have 3 days worth of food supply in your local Walmart.
Right. Right. So John posted this, and I already had this tab up to share, so thank you, John. And John, post that in the chat again if you would. I can't believe Frank is not here, mass posting for us. So this is the NOAA page where they have the current space weather conditions. And once I get back to the right one. So this is all the different products that they have available related to space weather. Now, the 1 or 2 that I showed you already came from here. And we're not going to go through all of these because it would be like a slideshow. But there's some very interesting ones out here. And there's a lot of things with solar weather that I don't even begin to understand. Because number one, there are multiple indices that are referred to that index some property situation or another versus this property situation or another. And it's like this G4 alert that is out. This started with an M 8.7 flare yesterday or Friday around 0300 Zulu. I think Saturday morning at 0300 Z. There's multiple levels of M-class flares, and then you get into X-class flares. So I was watching Dr. Skov, who is smarter than all of the YouTube put together, as near as I can tell, was going through a very fascinating presentation. She did a live stream yesterday, and if you haven't ever watched it or you're reasonably interested in this stuff, go watch that live stream. That woman knows space weather, and most of the space weather that we have is driven from solar drama, because that's what creates all the space weather, really, is the giant radioactive ball of fire in the sky.
Drama creates the weather problems.
Right, right. Solar drama. So that is fascinating. And here's a notification timeline. Am I sharing the right tab? Yeah, good. It didn't open a new tab. So this is the alerts and warnings. And from what Dr. Skov was saying, and she has like 2 or 3 PhDs.
That's 2 or 3 more than I have.
Right. It's 3 times the number plus 1 that I have. So this is the timeline for the different kinds of solar events and different levels, X-ray events, so on and so forth. And generally, if you condense all this down, this is going to be going on for 4 to 5 days at least. There was actually multiple. This was predicated by a CME, a coronal mass ejection, that was huge, and it's moving toward the Earth, if it's not already here, at about 1,000 kilometers per second.
So
I can't
8 minutes
do
or so?
Well, 1,000 kilometers a second. It's 93
No, I meant
million
8
miles.
minutes from sun to Earth.
No, at light speed there is. Yes.
Yeah. This is traveling faster than light speed? I thought that was impossible.
No, it is not possible. It's traveling less than light speed.
Okay.
Alexa, convert Alexa, cancel. Alexa, convert 1,000 kilometers per second to miles per hour. Yes, hold on. Alexa, convert 1,000 kilometers per second to miles per hour.
1,000 kilometers per second is about 2.24 million miles per hour.
2.24 million miles per hour. So divide 93 divided by 2.2. It's about a 45-hour trip at 1,000 clicks a second. So no, it's not light speed. It's 8.5 minute trip at light speed. It ain't coming at light speed.
So slower than light. Got it.
Yeah.
STL.
Yeah. And John, yeah, originally when she was doing her live stream, they were predicting it was going to land about 2 p.m. Zulu, which is actually 9 a.m. Central Time. And then I saw something a little later that's predicting an earlier impact. And there might have been 2 waves. I can't remember exactly the details. So yeah, it's probably whacking us right now.
So here's the really cool thing about it. All the people out there, all the grumpy OMs that hate POTA activators, there won't be any today.
Yeah. A POTA activation today is, I mean, it might happen, but go with God if you can get it to work.
Take your amp with you.
Take your amp with you. So we have alerts, watches, and warnings. Primarily
so what can we expect if this
poleward.
lands? Yeah.
Induced currents, voltage control problems, and protective systems may trip out key assets for the power grid.
It sounds like you might actually want to take your antennas down or at least disconnect them from your expensive radios.
That's probably not a terrible idea, honestly.
Because it's going to attract and absorb the radiation and then transfer it somewhere.
Well, the key
Or is it
here,
going to be the exact opposite? Are we going to have better than average radio propagation as a result of higher than average radiation?
I think the key here is induced currents.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what triggered me into wanting to disconnect my antenna.
Yeah. So these are put out regularly by the space weather system people. But, and there are a number of things on here. I saw one. Here's the aurora view line for tonight and tomorrow night. Now, it's still not reaching me down in Alabama, but
I'm in Iowa.
You might get some, maybe not. You're a little south of it, but if you're in the red zone, which is pretty much the polar region,
yeah,
Alaska, Canada, almost all of Canada, really, except this little bit way out here. So, and it explains what they are and so on and so forth. And then there was another one I saw. There it is. The 30-minute forecast for the aurora. So if you're at a latitude where you think you might be able to see it, this is the one I would keep checking because it should tell you. Of course, you can also, instead of spending your time looking at this webpage, walk outside and look up in the sky and see if you see the green light
Right.
too.
Right.
So
Yeah,
But
most of us
there's
won't
a
be able to
lot
see
of
them because
data.
of the wildfires.
Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
Most of us won't be able to see it because of the wildfires in Canada.
Right. There's a lot of stuff on here, and I don't understand 1% of all the stuff that's on here, but in any case, see,
I left
there's a
Wisconsin to see the grandson.
solar
Not
proton
to avoid the
flux,
smoke.
X-ray flux, geomagnetic activity, which is what we're talking about with the G4 level storm. And then here are the impacts for these things. HF radio communications. At HF frequencies, modify the transmission path and even block. These frequencies are used by us, government agencies. So it's, if you read all this, it's basically going to be a crapshoot. Have fun, play radio, or sit inside and watch baseball. I mean, that's kind of where that's at. Did our screen change?
I rotated my phone, which should not have changed anything, and now I'm gone. Huh. And I'm back.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was because I had it shared.
So I went
Oh,
like that.
okay. Yeah, so Jersey Mike is saying, Geocron's saying everything's dead.
He's just flexing. Is that Geocron attached to your Flex radio with your Power Genius?
Do you have your green screen working, Mikey? Yeah, we have worm sign. That's right.
Worm sign. I love it. Yeah.
So I don't know. I have never paid attention to the space weather, honestly, before yesterday. When my wife mentioned this to me, I didn't even know about it. And Julie told me, oh, this is going to be like a huge solar thing tomorrow. And I'm like, wait, what?
Your wife knows more about ham radio than you do.
She watches the local weather guys on the Facebook, right? And so apparently local weather dude was flapping his jaws about this on the Facebook live feed or whatever.
We have to scare you.
It gets viewers on Facebook, I guess. I don't know. But
Are you,
so she was
Big John,
asking
are you
me
saying
about
leave
it.
it vertical?
No, that's much better. Vertical, it makes
Yeah.
you smaller too.
This is an example. I talk about this. You're going to make me rant again. People need to know how to use people need to use the products that they make. So this is StreamYard, and I have one comment. And when I start to scroll the comments, like I have a comment saying, Tio knowing more that Jim is not a flex. And then when I go to scroll it, then I see Big John. And then like I can't tell who wrote the comment. And then as I scroll down a little bit, the new comment thing's telling me that there's new comments down below is over top of the comment I'm trying to read. So I turn it like this, which nobody should ever stream like this unless you're actually streaming vertical to a vertical platform. Now I can actually see two comments at once and the screen makes sense. And then I go back like this. And then the other thing that got Chuck was the leave studio button on desktop is where the end button is on mobile. So Chuck has ended a stream for us before.
And that one didn't involve alcohol, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, it has happened. So anyway, guys, it might be something you're interested in looking up, and certainly you can find somebody who knows way more about it than I do. Because I'll be honest, solar weather is nothing I ever really pay attention to, because mostly it is what it is. I ain't got no control over it, and I'll
Today
find
is not
something
the
else
day
to do.
test a new antenna.
Yeah. And y'all should go watch Dr. Skov's stream. It's recorded on her channel.
Yeah,
Yep.
SKOV.
Actually, her maiden name is Mulligan. I was wondering how there was a redheaded person with a Eastern European name, and I discovered she was a Mulligan before she was a Skov, so that explains it. But she is a super smart lady, and she does a really good presentation. So you guys should go check that out. And we can talk about Meshtastic a little bit since I have all the stuff out. I'm getting into it a little more. I've done a video on a couple things.
You hated it.
I don't
You were
hate it.
anti-mesh.
I don't hate it.
Problem. It's a solution without a problem.
I still think it mostly is. But
So was the iPad, the iPhone, cell phone.
Oh,
technology in
absolutely. The
general.
iPad was a solution without a problem. Until every restaurant in the world now takes orders with iPads and has kiosk iPads on the table where you can pay from the table, and not
If
have
they
to
hadn't
wait on.
invented it in Star Trek, it wouldn't be here, which is pretty
Right.
much true of everything we touch today.
Right. And they stole the name because they called it the PAD, PADD.
DD, yeah.
But anyway, let me flip cameras. Excuse me. Let me flip cameras over. So I guess the thing to start with is I have a variety of Meshtastic devices here. And the form factors are amazing, honestly. So first of all, I bought some stuff used from one of our friends, Garth WG2G. And this is a project Garth had been working on. Get this in front of the camera. God almighty, this is weird at this angle. So it's a bunch of sensors and a little screen. I have not even powered this one up yet to mess with it. But this is a Meshtastic setup that you would use like with a solar power setup and put in a watertight case and outside. So this is I believe there's a temperature sensor, humidity sensor, GPS, which is what this little dingus is right here. There's a screen there. And I assume it will display. And then, of course, here's our various antennas hanging off. So that's something I'm gonna tinker with.
One for Bluetooth, one for mesh, one for GPS.
Right. There's a LoRa antenna, Bluetooth antenna, and then a GPS. This is one I did a video on the other day. This was sent to me by Heltech over here, Jim. And this is a battery bank. I think this is a 5,000 milliamp hour battery bank, and they make these in a 10,000 too. So it's a Meshtastic device. It is standard Meshtastic. It does the Meshtastic thing. You can talk to it with the Meshtastic app. You can use it at Hamvention and charge your phone at the same time. It has the magnetic charging dingus built in the back, the Qi thing.
One thing I wish that
as
Android
well
would
as
do.
USB-C charging. One thing you wish, what, buddy?
I wish Android would do is have that MagSafe charging on the back of the phone.
They don't. I thought they did. Julie's phone charges on the back.
No, I mean I had the QI charging, the Qi charging you mentioned, but the MagSafe is not the same thing. The MagSafe is literally a magnet that sticks the battery pack to the back of the phone.
Yeah,
Android
it does.
doesn't have that magnet.
It does. And I think it won't work with my case. Yeah, it magnets a little bit. I can feel it. If I pop the case off, it will
Not
literally
enough to trust it. Yeah.
it will literally hold it where it won't even disconnect from the phone. So this is about $50 or $60 from Heltech. I don't think it's on Amazon yet. But if you're interested in Meshtastic, this is cool because it has two purposes. It's not just Meshtastic. It's a battery charger pack.
And with Bluetooth, you don't need any cables either. You can
Nope.
cable it in, but you don't need it.
No cables required to use this to charge off of or to Meshtastic with it. This one is one that was a hot toy at Hamvention. This is the SenseCap T1000. The T1000.
It's not going to destroy the planet.
And it probably won't destroy the planet. So this is, again, a full Meshtastic device. This has a speaker built in, so you can have it notify you when you get any messages over the mesh. Important safety tip from your old Uncle Jim. When you're at Hamvention, on the special Hamvention mesh, and there's 25 or 30,000 nerds like you, turn off the beeping thing, because it will make you crazy pretty quickly.
Never shuts up. It's like APRS at a Hamfest, yeah.
Right. It does not shut up. This is about $40 online, I think. And this thing fits in your shirt pocket. The battery on this lasts forever. This actually has GPS built in it. I don't remember if the Heltech does off the top of my head. But this has GPS built in it as well, so it will location. I mean, think of this as a very snazzy AirTag for nerds. Now, of course, it doesn't do all the stuff an AirTag does, but it does have locationing.
I have to say, though, this is
Go
an
ahead.
example of how the world has bypassed ham radio. There's no reason why ham radio couldn't have invented this device, technology, etc., and made it a
Right.
thing. But
Right.
cranky people didn't allow it to happen. So they made it on mesh, which is actually funny because it's inside of the ham bands, but it's on the, what do they call it? The ICM frequencies. It's on 433 megahertz and 915 megahertz, which are public frequencies that are also inside of the ham bands. So this could totally have been a ham radio thing if we could have gotten out of our own way and let it happen.
Right. This will also magnetically charge, I believe. I can't remember. And the only downside to this device is that, and if you're a nerd with a bunch of cables, it requires this cable to charge this thing. There is no other way to charge this dingus without this special cable that comes with it. So if you lose the cable, you're kind of out of luck. As we say in the South, you're SOL. You figure out the S.
Sorry, out of luck.
Yeah.
Like TS, terribly sorry.
Slap out of luck. Slap out of luck. But, and this is also the data cable. So when you initially, when you want to reflash this, you need this cable to put it into firmware mode so you can update the firmware in it. Which is kind of an interesting thing, the way that works. You have it hooked to your computer, you put the power thing on, and then you rock it twice, and it makes it flip into DFU mode. It's interesting, and it works fine. Works
and
absolutely
you
fine.
count your steps too. You could mesh your steps with. Tell all your friends how many steps you took that day.
Right.
Because it's got the accelerometer in it.
And then here's this is and mine is, where's mine? Mine's out in my laptop bag. This is a different one. I have the H1 from MusiWorks. This is the H2, and this is a standard. You can I can't tell if you can read that. MusiWorks on the back.
MUZI.
Yeah, and this is a standard little dingus. These were hot last year-ish because it's a 3D printed case. It's a very beautiful 3D
printed case.
It is hot. Yeah. The texturing on it is beautiful. The job is beautiful. And this may have been professionally done. I don't know. I assume it's 3D printed, but
MusiWorks did
really
make.
Tell.
He did make the STLs available. I'm saying but they did make the STLs available for that. You can go print your own.
Yeah.
And it's a Heltec device inside. You can get the Heltec in a 2-pack for like $12 off of Amazon.
Yep. And so these were de rigueur. These were the thing at Hamvention last year, I know.
Yep.
And the case has a hole for a lanyard, so you can dangle this, from your neck if you want to wear it there. You stick it in a pocket. Honestly, after seeing this thing, I don't know why I would ever carry that thing in my pocket, but
I want one of those.
This is just one of the most beautiful pieces of kit I've ever seen. This is available on Seed Studios website.
Will it melt in the car?
Seed with 3 E's. Seed Studios. And then this is, and I think this is Liligo.
Liligo T-Deck, yeah.
And this one, let me see, I think I still have battery on this thing. Let me turn this bad boy on. And I'm going to scoot this way because my arm is getting really tired holding stuff up in the air. So you can see this actually has a screen, and this is a touch screen device, which is really cool. It also has this wheelie ball. So it looks like
it literally is the BlackBerry keyboard.
Yeah.
That's literally what that is. And before they started re-mass producing those, it used to be all NOS, new old stock stuff. It still actually had the BlackBerry logoed keys on it. And they sold out of all of those and had to make more of them.
It takes this thing a hot minute to boot up.
So just never turn it off.
Right. And I have not looked at any manual for it. This is like Sunday morning nuggets, which is pretty much every day for me. Documentation is negative. We're not doing that. There we go. So once it comes up, and I'm going to scoot this camera way in. So we have like a status screen right here with messages. It gives us uptime, what LoRa frequency we're on. It's not receiving any signal because I live out in the country in a brick house with a metal roof. And I don't think,
house, folks.
I'm a brick house. And I don't have any other nodes turned on at the moment anyway. Hello, there we go. So you can touch each of the icons. This is like your node list here. These are your group channels. Any active chats you have going on. It has a map, and I got this Friday, I think, so I haven't really had a chance to monkey with it too much where I have other nodes on. So we can zoom the map in and out. Yeah, I think
And you have to download those maps. Those are offline maps.
Yeah.
Which is actually really useful.
So I think we're over in Africa there. Yeah, so it doesn't suck up any of your data connection. But anyway, that's pretty cool. And then of course you have your settings, and this is where you'd set up, your standard Meshtastic settings here. You also have, and this is what's really cool about this particular device. This has a mesh detector, a signal scanner. Traceroute is, I think, in most everyone, at least in the app, statistics, and a packet log. So it has some extra tools. And then again, back here on the settings page, that's our standard Meshtastic stuff. So somebody asked if this has a GPS. I don't know that it does. I have not popped the case off to look. The thing about Meshtastic stuff and what makes this cool, let me change cameras back. What makes Meshtastic so interesting?
Oh, now it's interesting.
Oops. Figure out the cameras. There we go. Move that one out of the way of the monitor so I can see. It has some uses. I don't think it has a lot of uses that the everyday civilian is going to care about. Honestly. Now, our friend Dave, KB5UTY, from Dave works with Seed Studios. He was on Coffee and Ham Radio's, that other show, on Thursday night. And it has a use with like the Aries and Races communities because it gives you location information. The small one, the card one, wherever I laid it, that guy, you can issue these to all your folks so you know where all your folks are if you're working at an event or something like that. I said Aries and Races. It could be any other civic group doing anything. So, this is something potentially you could put, I don't know, on anybody for tracking. Is it as small as an AirTag? No, but it doesn't require an iPhone. It'll work on iOS or Android.
Yeah, you use
so that's
the
what
iPhone
he's
because
using them
it's a screen
for.
And keyboard.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You use an iPhone because it's a screen and keyboard,
Right.
not because it's an iPhone. You could just as easily use a tablet or a PC or anything.
Right.
It's getting hot in here. Greenhouse effect.
Yeah. Now, the other thing that's interesting, and I have not played with it at all yet, is something called MQTT, which probably stands for something. And that will let you merge your localized mesh setup over the internet, think DigiPeter kind of situation. So potentially, I believe, at this time, I could turn on MQTT, and if TO has it on, potentially we could send messages via Meshtastic/internet. And
why not tunnel it through the internet? Because this technology exists in the world.
And the beauty of this is, this doesn't require any cell service at all, period. To do its basic function of Meshtastic, and in the case of this one, it also has GPS in it, but this doesn't require cell service on your phone. Like Steve said, the only thing that is required for the phone is so you can do some setup and read messages on it, right? Or look at other nodes or send messages. If you have an old phone, like I've got my wife's old Note 9 that has no service on it, I use it whenever I have to play with Android. Then I wash my hands afterwards. But that's a good use for an old cell phone.
Doesn't want his iPhone to be jealous that he got to use a better piece of technology.
Right. Well, I don't want to get any Android germs on my iPhone, but that's a use for an old phone, and it's an off-grid messaging system. So literally, without internet or without cell service, you can use it to message other people. And even if you're not using it for locationing, you can use it for your group event. So a large field day event, again, an Aries or Races activation kind of thing, whatever. There's multiple uses for it in that case. And then the obvious use case for it is prepping. LC, thank you. iGate, DigiPete, whatever. iGate is what I meant. You're correct. So, DigiGate. I don't know why they don't just make it one word. DigiGate.
Because I can answer this one for you. A digipeater takes your digital message and repeats it over RF. An iGate takes your digital message and gateways it into
the internet. Yeah.
So you can't technically digipeat to the internet, although that's technically what it's doing. It's a distinction.
To be pedantic. To be pedantic. So
that's my way of saying I'm an asshole, but I'm polite about it.
Right. Exactly. I'm going to be a jerk here. I'm going to be a jerk, but you're.
I don't mean no offense, but your face is ugly.
Right. It's like the way of saying no offense, only at a higher level. I mean, if I say no offense to someone, I'm about to say something offensive, right?
Yeah. You did literally ask, though.
Right.
Said,
Literally,
I don't know why. So I said, but I do know why. I got this. I'm so excited.
Can I do it? Can I do it? Oh, me.
Right.
Anyway, so I don't know. That's the use cases I've seen for Meshtastic. Of course, at Hamvention, everybody had Meshtastic turned on. There was hundreds of nodes.
And we had to use an actual Hamvention firmware for Meshtastic.
Special. Mm-hmm.
So we didn't overload the mesh.
And I think MQTT was turned off for that too.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, because that would just repeat everything back out to everybody, who would then repeat it back out to everybody. And that's one of the problems that packet radio has, that somehow we've determined how to fix on Ethernet, but not on packet radio.
Not on radio. Well, I think the issue is we don't have a way to detect collisions over radio.
I don't know. I know what the problem is. I know what the cabled wired solution is, but I think that the solution for ham radio, and I'm not smart enough to argue this, but I'm thinking that you need an out of band, not out of ham band, but like, let's do packet radio 144.390. Let's do packet radio control on 144.40. So all the control channel stuff goes over 40, mm-hmm. All the messages go over here, and then you can do your ACK and whatnot. And who knows? I don't know. I don't know the answer to this because I'm not far enough into it.
Well, that's basically how trunk radio works, right? Yeah. So P25 or LTR or Moto, whatever Motorola calls their trunk system, I can't remember. But there's basically a control channel or control channels. P25 is what I have the most experience with, yeah. But the control channel, all the radios have a channel open, a comms open at some point in some way to the control channel, who says, hey, dispatch is calling all y'all, and I'm going to assign dispatch this frequency and make all y'all's radios open up. And with the collision thing, if Officer Friendly or Fireman Jim, whatever, keys up and there's not a channel open, the radio knows that, and it won't let me key over top.
Right. Which
is also kind of like the busy thing in DMR, right? There's a function there. I can't remember what the words are, but there's a similar function with DMR radios, even for ham, that it will disallow you.
Carrier on squelch.
Yeah. So
carrier sense. There's a way to solve it, but not in the existing world of packet radio. It needs to be a new thing, a new addition to it. And the problem is that you get bogged down because I don't know if I've heard you, you don't know if you've heard me. So we now start sending a whole bunch of ACK traffic back and forth. APRS is known for this because like your FT5D will send the message 5 times.
Right.
So I've repeated myself 5 times in a row, hoping you got at least one of those. And then you'll send back 5 ACKs, hoping that I get at least one of those acknowledgments.
Yeah, it's kind of a best effort thing.
There, the traffic, the entire channel is flooded with us just repeating ourselves ad nauseum at each other. And then other people repeating the fact that we've repeated ourselves, and then it just compounds and compounds and compounds. So, yeah, VAR AC seems to have solved that a little bit. But packet radio, it's got issues. And it's hard to get onto.
So I have one thing I wanted to share.
He's got that faraway look in his eyes.
Because I've noticed it. I don't know. I guess this means that LC is the number 2 chatter this morning. LC, I'm not picking on you. That's not what I mean.
No, you have celebrate. That's awesome.
You have a little purple crown by you with the number 2. I was trying to see. James Cook, you are number 1, buddy. So LC, there's your There's your target. You need to knock him out. He's number one. I think that's what that means based on the number of times I've seen it today. So
Yeah, cool.
that's a new feature in the YouTube chat, apparently. Do you guys see the little purple numbers out there? I assume you do. Yeah, Hamman says, yeah, he's seeing them.
Nice.
So that's pretty interesting. Anyway, guys, that's probably about all we need to yammer about today. I really meant to get more into Meshtastic, but the solar stuff was just really kind of fascinating. And, you know, we're all
And so
gonna
was the
die.
ranting.
And the ranting. Honestly, yeah, it's always fun. So y'all go out there, have fun today. I'm going to hit the button. Appreciate y'all stopping by, even though none of y'all passed the offering plate around. I'm just saying. And I'm engaging the button. Have a great day, fellas. 73 and lady.